because every year we are here in many things. It is first of all thanks to Amin Lamraban, who is sitting with us here. He is our great helper. And then we have our permanent friends with whom we already keep on cooperating for years. And first of all, this is Joanna Berlein, and she's going to speak today. And then some people are late, I think. And I would like to ask Elena Branson to speak some welcome words, to tell some words about her, who is she, and to welcome us. Please, Elena.
Absolutely. Dear friends, I'm Elena Branson. I'm the chair of Russian Community Council of the USA and the president of Russian Center New York. Welcome all of you here in New York. We're so happy that you are coming here from time to time. And your wonderful organization, whom we know for about, I think, 5 years, coming here regularly every year, and welcome anytime. We're looking forward to see you each time.
Okay, so if Professor Tolaraya, who is from our Gimo University, and we are some of us from the same university, tell us some welcome words, and especially for our meeting, which we have today, together with you.
Thank you, Larissa. Well, I'm not speaking in my capacity as a UN employee.
It's for us, for me.
Yes, but in my capacity as well, Gimo professor, and also as the founder of the Russian National Committee of Greeks Research. This organization now is, it's officially heading the Expert Council, which provides expertise for the Russian chairmanship in Greece this year. And for many years we have cooperated with Cell of Hope, and we find this cooperation very useful and very promising, and we hope to continue in the future. And of course today's conference is today's event is very interesting. It's interesting for me how it translates into Greeks, because struggles in poverty are one of the important tests of the Sustainable Development Goals, and so this is something we discuss in Greeks as well. So I would like to welcome everybody here and wish you success. Thank you.
So today we are going to speak about Decent Life for All, which of course, as you understand, is linked very tightly with the problem of homeless people. And it's necessary to stress, and I mean he knows that better than we, that the Commission on Social Development for the first time tackles this problem maybe in his history. So it's a very important problem. And we want to inform you here today of the solutions which Russia presents on the international area, and how we try to tackle this problem in our country. Homelessness is one of the crudest manifestations of poverty, and in order to make a person a person to be included and to be accepted by the society, it's necessary, of course, to teach him how to communicate with each other, how to try to understand other opinion, how to accept this other's opinion. I think it's a very important thing if without this knowledge it could lead you to be excluded from the society and to become homeless. So I would like to give the floor to Mrs. Marie Boucher, Austrian of Vienna Etiquette School and representative in ECOSOC UN, and she's going to tell you just about those first and maybe the most important steps.
Good morning, everybody. Larissa Nikolaevna, thank you. Big thank you for this opportunity. This is the presentation. Dear guests, we are delighted to participate and speak at the 58th session of the United Nations. As we all are living on the same planet, it is extremely important for all of us to work together to improve the peace and place for the interhuman race and make this world a better together. Peace and life to everyone. As the problem of homelessness and the socialization of disabled people has become extremely critical in the recent year, we believe it is fundamentally valuable to raise the issue of ethics, community, knowledge of the etiquette when we communicate with people online and offline on a daily basis. It is a very big responsibility for all of us to do that, to show good examples for the future generation. As the teacher of etiquette and a member of the protocol and diplomacy at the International Association of Protocol in Washington, I always pay attention to the problem in the million people in the world. To know how to communicate with the disabled and homeless people in the right way without disturbing them to making their situation worse. According to the recent research, 18% of respondents feel uncomfortable and don't know how to behave properly when they're dealing with handicapped people and not sure how to shake a hand of the person if it's prosthetic. The government of many countries in the world are making every effort to help people with disabilities to integrate into society. We can encourage the government to build more elevators, ramps and special entries to the shopping centers and public places for disabled people. But it's equally important to decide people would actually use them. They should be the priority to take in the first seats, parking spot, gas station and restaurant that we are concerned especially for the people with disabilities to use them. We see our mission is to fight discrimination through the effective and mutually respect communication based on equality between disabled people and the society by using the internet resources for educating the society and overcoming the barriers that slow the process of socialization of disabled people. The knowledge of etiquette when dealing with disabled people, it is necessary for all employees of organization, especially the employees from the service section, hotels, shops, restaurants, educated institutions, journalistic, etc. I'm pleased to let you know that our non-profit organization, International High School of Etiquette, has been successful in taking steps in this direction. Every month we organize free online classes covering the issue of equal treatment of the disabled people. In 2020, of November, our students researched 3 million people in Russia. On top of that, it is our plan to release a free mobile phone application by March this year. It will contain the video tutorials and practical exercise of the topic of the etiquette. In the last year in this room, in our report at the 57th session, we have started our desire to create a special app for the phones that will teach people etiquette and allow them to receive privileges from the government and commercial organizations. Now I am really proud to say that in this year we have made and successfully launched a training block of this app, which is available for all phones. Russian people can already download this app to this phone and receive training. It's called Elegance app. But most important is that we have created a system for the encouraging and promoting people with the high level of social and cultural responsibility. In other words, it's indicator of CSR. We are interested in supporting people who have been studying in our school and demonstrated a great result. This student receives special bonuses and offers from different business companies. For example, they have the unique opportunity to purchase this place ticket with approximately 70% discount. or they get an opportunity for their education, the college or university. This is how we promote well-educated people and create a new future generation and respectful people. However, so far we have been supported only by the commercial organization. And our goal is to get more support from the government, public organization, and also the United Nations. For the practical implementations for the program at the first stage, it is necessary officially introduce the indicator of CSR. Develop a system to reward people with the CSR, with the cooperation with the United Nations. And of course, get support from the government. We believe that our initiative will be taken into account by the representatives of government and commercial organizations. As the International High School of Etiquette, we have hope that our ideas and the implementation on the indicator of CSR will find your support. We invite everyone to cooperate. Each of us can contribute to improvement of our society on the global level. Thank you much for your attention.
Another example of our, so to say, good practices, I would like to introduce our Sale of Hope project, which aimed at empowerment of people with disabilities, i.e. giving them places of work, because it's really a real support for such people. And I would like to invite Noma Zarubina to speak about this project. And Noma is a representative of our, first of all, of our Society of Compatriots who lives in America, in New York itself. And she is additional representative in UNHQ from our organization Sale of Hope, and she is the chief editor of Russia Times magazine in New York. And we are going to implement this project together with our compatriots here. But this project actually will be in Moscow region, together with municipal authorities.
Thank you, Larissa Nikolaevna. Good afternoon, guests. Good afternoon, colleagues. So, yes, my name is Noma Zarubina, and I would like to represent, first of all, our organization shortly, and also some of our projects. All our information you can find on our websites, and I will provide our website in the end of my presentation. So it's not secret that today a lot of people concerned to people with disabilities with PT or emotional neglect, without understanding that those people who deserve the special attitude towards themselves. Quite often society perceives disabled people as poor, without capabilities, with their lost opportunities, which requires material support and daily help. The person who can't realize himself in society in general. The principle of respect of features of disabled people and the main thing, their perception as parts of mankind, is accepted by the United Nations in the Convention on the Right of People with Disabilities. That's important that government and non-government organizations, private companies, business, philanthropies paid attention to motivative and innovative actions for further use of the international standards and standards concerning people with disabilities. Also, schools, universities and other educational institutions shall create proper conditions for their training as well. Mass media can make a especially valuable contribution to case of support them, not only in the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, but also during the whole year to distribute information on disability in general, shortcomings of medical services, imperfection of education and professional training. So we live during an era of high technologies and computer communications. It's a unique opportunity to create all conditions for full activity of people with disabilities, to provide them with work and to use all their intellectual potential. So we can fight with homelessness only by providing better life for vulnerable groups who need our support like nobody else. And of course, the main reason of homelessness is poverty. No poverty is the first goal of Sustainable Development Program of the United Nations. So, and I would like to represent some of our projects. First of all, this is School of Water program. This program is initiative to protect an environment. By participating in environmental actions, disabled people gain knowledge and skills that bring them to their forefront the fight for the environment. The second project is New Opportunities in Inclusive Russia, which offers a mobile and replicable system of accompanied employment in the Moscow metropolis. Social case management, social support of small and medium-sized business, industrial enterprises to create jobs for disabled people. Social marketing resource of the territory, the passport of the territory by resources and industries. The third project is School Navigator in the world of professionals. The main idea is that we are surrounded by people whom we can help, because we can certain opportunities and resources. We have professional knowledge, free time and materials, resources for disabled people to provide these services. We have 7 models of professional practices that open prospects for people with disabilities. So in conclusion, I would like to say that social support of vulnerable groups always develops society in general. So creation of new jobs, opportunities, develops economic situation in general as well. We can reduce poverty, we can fight with homelessness, and leave no one behind, only with common efforts. Thank you for your attention.
Now we would like to present you some ideas how public organizations, business, and the state can cooperate in order to realize, first of all, national projects to Russian Federation, especially in that part which concerns people with disabilities. And Irina Habko, she is chairman of Commission on Ecology and Environmental Protection of the Public Chamber of Novosibirsk region. And also she is a representative of Department of Global Communications of the United Nations. Your floor, please.
Добрый день, уважаемые делегаты 58-й сессии Комиссии по социальному развитию Организации Объединенных Наций. Для меня большая честь сегодня выступать перед вами и поделиться с вами успешным опытом взаимодействия коммерческих структур, общественных организаций и волонтеров. Рассказать, как мы помогаем России реализовать национальные проекты. Всю свою сознательную жизнь я занимаюсь предпринимательством. И у меня это неплохо получается. В 2014 году я была удостоена титула «Лучшая женщина-предприниматель России».
So, good afternoon, dear colleagues and our guests. It's a great honor for me today to stand before you and share the successful experience of interaction between commercial structures of public organizations and volunteers. So I tell you how we help Russia implement national projects. All my life I handle an entrepreneurship and I succeed. In 2014 I received the title of the best female entrepreneur in Russia.
Я награждена орденом «Профессионалы России». В составе представителей женского движения также была награждена личной встречей с президентом России Владимиром Владимировичем Путиным, который на встрече сказал: «В России сильные и красивые душой женщины. И я очень надеюсь на вашу поддержку». На что я ответила: «Владимир Владимирович, войну мужиков на себе с поля боя выносили, нечто сейчас не поможем». Я горжусь тем, что имею доверие президента и подтверждаю доверие делами в общественной работе. 4 года я работаю в общественной палате Новосибирской области и имею большой опыт взаимодействия с коммерческими, общественными и волонтерскими организациями.
So I was awarded the Order of Professionals of Russia, and I met with our President of Russia, and he said they brought people out of the battlefield during the war, and now we will help. I'm proud that I trust the President and confirm my confidence in public work. I used to work in Novosibirsk region and I have extensive experience interacting with commercial, public and non-profit organizations.
С 2018 года Общественная палата Новосибирской области утверждена премия в области благотворительности и добровольчества, которая называется «Во благо». Сейчас я хотела бы рассказать вам лишь о некоторых замечательных людях и организациях, занимающихся благотворительностью в России.
Now I will tell you only about some wonderful people and organizations involved in charity work.
Обратите внимание, самый крупный торгово-развлекательный центр «Аура» в Новосибирске совместно с фондом «Доброе дело» организовали акцию «Контейнер добрых дел». Граждане приносят одежду, постельное белье и другие предметы. Все это проходит чистку и передается в дар нуждающимся.
So the largest shopping center Aura in Novosibirsk, the foundation Good Deed, a container of good deeds. Citizens bring clothes, bed linen and other items, wear them all and give them to those in need.
Благотворительный фонд помощи слабовидящим детям Анны Аксененко. Вот эти цветы, которые вы видите на моем столе, занесены в Красную книгу. Они не живые, они изготовлены руками детей, которые практически ничего не видят. На ощупь эти дети сохраняют для нас природу. Анна Аксененко моя дочь, и я очень горжусь ею.
So, charity fund for helping visually impaired children, Anna Aksionenko, and all these red book flowers are not living. They made by the hands of children who see almost nothing. To the touch, they preserve the sighted nature for us. Anna Aksionenko is my daughter and I'm proud of her.
Следующий слайд. Служба ранней помощи детям с ментальными нарушениями. Это фонд Евгении Милешиной. Евгения художница и все деньги от проданных картин отдает в этот фонд. Более 15 миллионов рублей уже были направлены на реабилитацию малышей.
So, Early Assistance Service for Children with Mental Disabilities, Evgenia Milushina Foundation. Evgenia gives all the money for the painting sold to the fund. More than 15 million rubles went to rehabilitate the kids.
Следующий слайд. Чистый берег Ульяна Артамонова объединила более 2000 человек, которые собрали более 600 мешков мусора. Такие массовые проекты необходимы нам не только с целью заботы о природе и чистки берегов и рек. На этих мероприятиях люди, объединенные общими интересами, общаются, знакомятся, влюбляются и создают крепкие семьи.
So the project by Alyona Artamonova, she collected more than 2,000 people and together they collected more than 600 bags of garbage. Such large-scale projects are needed not only to care for nature. People united but common interest communicate, fall in love, create good families, just living.
И последний уникальный проект, который называется «Больничный клоун». Его цель – вернуть детство в больничные палаты. Детки в силу заболевания не могут гулять на улице, не могут общаться со своими сверстниками. Вместо этого таблетки, капельницы и уколы. И тут появляется смешной доктор, веселый клоун и приводит с собой в палату счастье, детство и надежду на будущее.
In the last project is unique project, Hospital Clone. Their goal is to return childhood to hospital world. Due to the illness, children cannot go out and play with their friends. Instead of that, they drink pills, droppers and injections. And then a funny clone appears who brings happiness, childhood and hope for children.
В Сибирском регионе сотни таких замечательных проектов, а по всей России миллионы. Я надеюсь, что наша премия «Во благо», как хороший пример, приживется во всех уголках России. Тем более, что уже утверждена предлагаемая концепция содействия развитию благотворительной деятельности до 2025 года. Для Общественной палаты Российской Федерации я разработала перечень предложений, позволяющих реализовать эту концепцию.
We have a lot of projects in Siberia and in Russia in general. I hope that our 4 good project awards as a good sample will take root in all corners of Russia. Moreover, the proposed concept of promotion to the development of charitable activities until 2025 has already been approved.
Цель этих предложений заключается в том, чтобы в жизни любого человека, и в особенности тех, кто занимается коммерческой деятельностью, творить благо и добро было не столько нормой, сколько потребностью. У меня есть несколько рекомендаций для бизнес-сообществ всех стран России. Первое. Каждый представитель бизнес-сообщества во всех государствах на планете должен взять на себя ответственность по реализации социально ориентированной деятельности в отношении малоимущих и социально незащищенных граждан. Хотя бы 1 раз в месяц проводить посильные для него мероприятия. Второе. Чтобы органы государственной власти собирали информацию о благотворителях и в конце года, в декабре, награждали самых лучших почетными грамотами, орденами и медалями. Третье. Чтобы представители органов государственной власти в обязательном порядке принимали участие в проводимых социально ориентированных и благотворительных мероприятиях. Гражданское общество должно видеть и чувствовать заботу со стороны государства.
So the purpose of this proposal is that in the life of any person, and especially those engaged in commercial activities, to do good was not so much the norm as the need. I have some recommendations for the business communities of the world. Each representative of the business community in the world should take responsibility for the implementation of society-oriented activities in relation to the poor and socially unprotected citizens. At least once a month, carry out activities for him. So, that the authorities could collect information about philanthropists at the end of the year in December, and they could award the best with honorary diplomas with orders and medals as well.
И закончить свое выступление мне хочется словами гимна общественника. Мир держится на добрых людях, не на агрессии и зле. И если в мире доброты не будет, то ничего не будет на земле.
So I would like to finish the performance with the words of Hyman of the social activists. The world rests on good people, not on aggression and evil. And if there is no kindness in the world, then there will be nothing on earth. Thank you.
By the way, in connection with business contribution to solution of those problems, I would like to give you an information about another activity of our organization, Sail of Hope, and also in partnership with International Alliance of BRICS Strategic Projects. I am also president of this organization. And in November of last year, we organized an event in the UN Geneva, and there was a representative of administration of a new movement, global movement, the Valuable 500. The goal of the Valuable 500 movement is to initiate systematic changes in society, show the business, social and economic value of people with disabilities, and use business opportunities so that everyone, regardless of their personal characteristics, can participate in society. And I must tell that on our initiative, on the initiative of our two organizations, Sail of Hope and BRICS Alliance, 3 Russian big companies joined this movement, only 3. It was Sberbank, we have signed to join this movement, then our Beeline, Wimbledon, and so-called ARP services. And we presented the document signed by those people to the representative or administration of this movement during this our event in Geneva. So now those companies are obliged to have people with disabilities on their agenda. This is some information of this valuable 500. And by the way, this movement will speak in the session of General Assembly on the 15th of September of this year, and will announce also our 3 companies we joined and about initiative of our 2 organizations. Now I would like to add something of the initiatives of our organization. Our Vice President, Alexander Vensky, he also wants to add something what we are going to do in future with new initiatives.
Мы хотим дополнить наше сегодняшнее выступление от директора австрийской школы этикета Марии Буше тем, что мы сегодня отучили 80 новых преподавателей этикета, которые могут работать не только на благо общества, но и помогать общественной деятельностью в разных организациях.
Teachers of etiquette, and we would like them to work in different orphanages of Russia and to help them to pass their way in this life.
И у нас более 80 учреждений, детских домов, которые дети-сироты имеют сегодня, конечно, очень многое, потому что заботится не государство, и очень много других организаций, которые этим занимаются. Но немножко не хватает им тепла от того, чтобы эти люди
there are a lot of different things in our orphanages, toys, baby books, but they always lack some warmth and family-like situation in those orphanages.
И таким образом мы подписали с этими всеми детскими домами сотрудничество о том, что наши преподаватели и наши преподаватели во многих городах, не только России, а стран СНГ и дальнего зарубежья будут приезжать в назначенное время и знакомить детей с обществом, показывать им ориентиры, позволяющие им стать полноценными людьми мира.
Our teachers will visit those orphanages and organize different lessons in order to create some vectors of their behavior, maybe, or maybe development, their personal development in this society.
И таким образом «Парус надежды» — это практически единственная компания, которая может протянуть руку таким проектам, которые позволяют во всем мире быть услышанными и, соответственно, делиться опытом, который есть во всем мире. Мы приглашаем всегда всяких разных других стран, общественных организаций для такого сотрудничества.
And maybe we consider our organization maybe among those organizations who always can extend its hand to people who are in need of having their place in this life.
И один из самых интересных примеров, который находится именно здесь, в Нью-Йорке, это когда 2 организации объединили усилия, это дома престарелых и детские садики, совместно проводили акции и открытые уроки, когда взрослые пожилые люди, которые в каком-то смысле, может быть, брошены, находили себе друзей из детских садов. Это были великолепные акции в Нью-Йорке.
Потому что в России тоже есть такое.
Это потом позже они пошли уже в Россию.
We have seen a very interesting situation and we participated in it when the orphanages for elder people or elderly people with disabilities, they organized some kind of event together with small children from kindergartens, and it was very surprising situation that they looks like add to each other some family values.
И правильно заметила Лариса Николаевна, наш президент «Паруса надежды», о том, что как раз этот опыт уже перенят в России, и эти проекты также очень благодарностью развиваются и на российской территории.
We also, maybe it is the first experience when we try to contact elderly people together with orphans, because they have no such experience of family life, and it will be very, very important then to feel it, this life, then to have some life experience from elderly people, and it's a very, very important project.
В заключение могу сказать о том, что сегодня собрались самые интересные проекты и люди, которые за ними стоят. А вы сами знаете, проекты могут быть разные, главное, кто за ними стоит. Поэтому прошу повнимательнее отнестись ко всем нашим выступлениям, и вы поймете, что это люди, как раз, которые сделали уже настолько много, что ими можно гордиться.
And I would like to draw your attention that here we have people who already have implemented many interesting projects, and they are taking care of such people, and maybe we can tell that we can be proud of them. Спасибо. Thank you. Анна, это презентация идет там?
Нет, не получается.
Не получается. Тогда, может быть, Жанна расскажет?
Да, пожалуйста, давайте.
Joanna, are you going to tell without presentation, because they have some technical? Okay, so maybe we shall give the floor to Joanna Berline, New York. She is our old friend already, and we cooperate with each other. John, please present yourself to the public and tell about your work, your huge work.
Thank you, Larissa. And thank you for the generous invitation to speak at this important event. It's always such a pleasure to be in contact with you, and you're so generous with bearing gifts, and it makes me feel very special, and it's just an example of the Russian generosity and thoughtfulness. Thank you. I want to start by acknowledging something very human. Life is hard. I think we all know that. It's not easy to be a functioning adult in this modern society. We need to be able to make money, we need to get a job, we need to maintain a job. We need a complex set of skills to maintain good health. We need social skills. We need to have stable relationships that can carry us through hard times. Because we know hard times are going to affect us at one point or another. If we lose our health, our mental capacity, if we don't have people in our lives that can support us through hard times, it is easy to end up on the street. Oftentimes this happens to people due to circumstances beyond our control. War, natural disaster, economic changes, all these could destroy the fragile stability of our lives. The Sustainable Development Goals focus on many aspects of human rights, but most of all, Goal 10, Decreased Inequality, summarizes how each of the other goals need to be applied to be attained. If we have equal access to resources, we will alleviate poverty. Equal access to education will also support the eradication of poverty. Equal access to healthcare will ensure people are able to contribute to society. But equality is also something that needs to be addressed in our heads, in our minds. How do we categorize people? How do we judge ourselves and other people's worth? For example, what do people with developmental and intellectual disabilities contribute to society? I work with an organization here in New York that supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in every aspect of their life. And those are people who have diagnoses like autism or Down syndrome or many others. For decades, this field has focused on supporting people based on a medical approach instead of a human rights-based approach. And I will explain to you the difference. I managed a community group home in Sheepshead Bay in New York, which is the largest Russian community here in the city. I did that for 7 years. When I first started at the agency, we were operating under a medical model, which is overseen by the local government. In the residence, we would always teach the people we support skills. Under the medical model, these teaching goals were oftentimes based on skills we, the staff or the medical professionals, thought they needed to learn. Learning proper toothbrushing, showering. If someone would say, I want to learn to cook, they would get a bunch of cards with pictures of different stages of making a salad, and they would have to learn for a year how to put these cards in the correct order before they were able to even go into a kitchen. Now, under the human rights-based approach, if a person says, I want to learn to cook, the goal on the teaching will mean that they get an apron, they're going to be in the kitchen every day when dinner is prepared, and they're going to be part of the process as much as they are able to. And this really makes a difference in the person's life, because when you approach them and you say, what are we having for dinner today? What are you cooking? They will smile at you, and they will say, oh, we're making spaghetti and meatballs. Well, if you work on the toothbrushing and the showering and the cards, you will always have a struggle. Oh no, we have to do this. This is what you have to do. This is what you have to learn. And we have to really work against the person. Now the goal is to support the person in their own terms to live the life that they choose for themselves. We need to put the person in the driver's seat. It is a much more rewarding work because you see people smile and you have to work with much less resistance and frustration. So in the end, isn't it about connection? But connecting with each other and being able to connect with the people around you. The poster that we've been seeing outside stating, I see you, also speaks to this important aspect. It is not about sheltering people, about feeding them and clothing them. It is about seeing them, connecting with the person that makes a difference in someone's life. Shelter and food and clothing also need to be provided, but in a manner that gives the person dignity, self-respect, and human connection. It's been a privilege to work with this organization and work through that transition, and it's been amazing to get to meet Larissa and her team and hear from so many different people in so many different countries, and especially to hear all the wonderful work that is done in Russia and all these beautiful initiatives, clowns and hospitals. I love that. And so it's such a privilege to be part of this global community and work together towards those values and goals that we all share. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jana, and first of all for your work, because you remember we visited your centers. It's amazing, really. Especially, it was so exciting. First of all, for me, to see the faces of those people whom you're taking care of. Thank you very much for your huge work. Now I would like to give the floor to Anna Pirogova, Novosibirsk region, and she is the head of Women's Club in Novosibirsk, and we would like to hear what she's going to tell us, how to make life of women better, how to prevent them how prevent them to be homeless, how to empower them. So I think you have a good experience and good tell us.
Yes, good afternoon, colleagues. According to Sustainable Development Goals, the fifth goal is about gender equality. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So my topic will be about development of women's entrepreneurship in Russia as a way to overcome gender inequality. So I'm Anna Pirogova, as Larissa Nikolaevna said already. I flew from the geographical center of Russia, the city of Novosibirsk. I am 34, I'm married, I have 2 children, and I also have my own business. My project is the W, Women's Club. It is a closed community for women that hosts various meetings, lectures, masterclasses, and other events. I'm an ordinary woman from a regional city which is situated far from the capital. Here, it is generally accepted that business is not for women. However, from scratch, I was able to start a socially significant business project that brings me a stable profit. This is the reason why I have chosen this topic. According to the MasterCard Index of Women Entrepreneurs 2019, Russia takes the 6th place in the international ranking of women's entrepreneurship. 31.2% of all entrepreneurs are women. Please note that the first 3 places are occupied by Uganda, Ghana and Botswana. These countries are ranked very low in the MIWE results because of such unfavorable factors as a weak government, low financial status of women, poor governmental support of small and medium enterprises, fewer opportunities for women to grow as business leaders and as specialists, and high barriers to business development. At the same time, Russia has special government programs for training women in business. There are various forms of support for small women's entrepreneurship based on gender differences. The Committee of the Development of Women's Entrepreneurship for Russia is working. The events are being held as part of the National Strategy for Women and Girls 2017-2020. So, why is Russia behind Uganda by 7%? According to the Russian Federal State Statistics Service, there were approximately 44 million able-bodied women in Russia at the end of 2018. Statistics say that only 1.3 million of them are engaged in entrepreneurship. What is it that prevents women from starting their own businesses? What will increase this figure? First of all, I think gender inequality exists in women's minds. These unconscious limiting beliefs that women should be eradicated. How? Women believe the true stories of ordinary people. Every woman needs to be aware of at least 2 or 3 successful stories of women entrepreneurs through direct contact. We need to popularize the blogs of female entrepreneurs. Also, educational work should be carried out with girls who study at high school. In 2019, the W Women's Club launched a special project. It is a meeting of high school students with women of 24 to 35 years of age who have succeeded in various fields. At these meetings, we show that it's not only the girls themselves who can decide what to do in their futures. So, to study at a university, to start a family, build a career or launch their own business. Schools say nothing about that. We tell our true stories. These meetings contribute to development of girls who believe in stereotypes of gender inequality because of their young age. Most of the questions we get from them are about starting a business. Gender equality in women's mind is our responsibility, the responsibility of all women. The second point, establishment of large-scale female communities. We launched the W Women's Club at the beginning of 2019. Women who are engaged in real-time communication at club meetings and lectures can see the examples of others and realize that they can combine their family and business. They see that even a simple hobby can become a business, that any girl can start her own business, and if she is not skilled enough, she can study. They see that a woman can earn a lot and enjoy it. This is not a business club, this is a leisure organization. And that is why even women who have never thought about their own business can take some motivation, emotional support, and the necessary information. The third point, governmental and banking support and business education for women. These points have already been implemented in Russia. According to the Like Center for Entrepreneurship Support and Development, the number of women among all students of the center was 39% in 2017, but it increased to 48% in 2018 and 2019. To achieve gender equality, women and men should study entrepreneurship together, not separately. So, women will see that men face the same difficulties in business. Thus, I believe much has been done at the governmental level in Russia to develop women's entrepreneurship and achieve gender equality. But all of these measures are not crucial. It is women who are responsible for the elimination of gender inequality from women's minds. In order to counter gender stereotypes in business, a woman needs to change her attitude towards herself. The strategy of W Women's Club is aimed at creating the largest Russian-speaking women's community in the world. Over the next 3 years, we plan to open 100 branches in Russia and other countries. We set the goal of improving women's well-being, which will result in advancing the nation's welfare. Thank you.
So, as I told you in the beginning of our meeting, that we have good relationship and cooperation with our Russian competitors here in America, but not only, because we are in good relationship and cooperation also with the former Soviet republics, and this very, very good representative of one of them, Rajiv Aliyev. So he is a president of International Protection and Integration Alliance, New York.
Thank you. Good afternoon, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me today to speak to you and to share our successful experience in implementing projects which we hope will achieve the Sustainable Development Goals 2030. I am Rajiv Aliyev, President of International Alliance of Integration and Protection between United States and Soviet Union countries. The mission of Alliance is consistent with Sustainable Development Goals adopted by United Nations since 2015. Our activities develop and support human rights, first, second, migration, education, culture, business, health, sports, charity, and ecology. One of the important topics of today's agenda is human rights of vulnerable social groups on the path to achieving Sustainable Development Goals. I want to note the positive dynamics of real steps around the world, and especially in the United Nations Commission on Human Rights to ensure global equality and justice. And first, an assessment of the situation regarding the principles of ensuring that no one is left behind at the global level. At the very center of 2030 agenda is sustainable development is a commitment to address inequalities and discrimination both within and between states and countries. The agenda commits to leave no one behind, to ensure targets are met for all nationals and peoples and for all segments of society, and to reach the first behind first. The imperative of reducing inequalities and combating discrimination permits all Sustainable Development Goals with two dedicated goals on combating inequality and discrimination. There is a strong convergence between the 2030 Agenda's approach to ensuring that no one is left behind and the human rights-based approach to addressing inequality and discrimination among and within countries. The 2030 Agenda emphasizes the responsibilities of all states and countries in the world to respect, protect and promote human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction of any kind as to race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, disability or other status. It thereby puts the focus on people as right holders and on the corresponding responsibilities of duty bearers and fulfilling these rights. Citing Larissa Nikolaevna, we are in total agree that we shall make our society civilized such that disability won't be a brand with deep social isolation and distance. We live in an era of advanced technology and communications. We have a unique opportunity to create favorable conditions for people with disabilities to provide them with meaningful work and the chance to use all their potential. Here at the beginning of the 21st century, to leave a considerable part of the world population out of society is not just a tragedy but a crime. We all must decide what we can do for people who daily challenge destiny and overcome barriers for full participation. Thank you for attention.
So we have some minutes more. Maybe permit me to make some conclusions. There are 6 key actions we can all support. Raise awareness to support the empowerment and full participation of homeless persons in the societies we live in. Advocate for the rights of homeless people. Educate yourself, teach others, and push for policies that help the homeless. Invest in your community, volunteer, and contribute to the trusted foundations. Organize networking events. Show respect towards homeless persons. Contribute to ending this global social crisis. By adopting the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, Member States agreed to make significant progress towards implementing appropriate social protection systems for all and committed to ensuring access to safe and affordable housing for all. Homelessness is a global problem and needs a global solution. We need to find innovative solutions to end and prevent it. All people have the right to lead a decent life with dignity. If you have any questions, because we have some time, any remarks, any proposals, just anything you would like to tell to all of us, please, you're welcome.
I guess my raising this is very controversial. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals, it seems to me, are almost identical to the original goal of the former Soviet Union, which has been demonized in my country. I'm born in the United States. My grandparents were born in Russia. And of course there was hatred of Russia, fear of Russia, to the extent that even though I'm half Russian, I would never tell people. I would say I was Italian. My father was Italian. That's how bad it was here. And incidentally, it's now bad again. The United States was friendly to Russia when it was weak. So it seems to me that there's a tragic attempt to resurrect the values that were originally the basis for the Soviet Union. When I worked in a publishing house here, there were the writings of Alexandra Kollontai, and there was no more powerful or credible or persuasive advocate for equality between men and women. And I came from the elite universities, everyone at the publishing house was, and yet this book, The Masters of Russian Marxism, was passed among all of us secretly because everybody admired Alexandra Kollontai. Now, I graduated from an elite school. Many of my friends went to Vassar, places like that, and they wanted a husband. I grew up where a woman was looked down upon if she wanted to work. And I was told that women in the Soviet Union, the majority of doctors, not nurses, but doctors, were women. And I clung to that as an example that I could use to justify my desire to do something using my brain and my whole personality, not to be a housewife. And I'm sure that the women doctors in the Soviet Union were also good mothers, if not better mothers, because they had fulfilling lives and could provide role models. My mother was a teacher, and she always spoke positively about the Soviet Union because my grandparents lived under Tsarist Russia. And I know that only with financial independence is a woman free from abuse, domestic abuse. She can walk out if she can pay her bills. I know that I had a good education because my mother was determined that I have a good education. But she could afford it because she was a teacher and she had her salary. So what I see now going on at the United Nations is a pathetic attempt to reconstruct what you Soviets had and were fighting to extend. And there was an ideological clash, and that's tragic for what was a very advanced society. And I know I'm speaking now in a way that a lot of people wouldn't like, especially in my country. But if we're talking about gender equality, if we're talking about, an end of homelessness, if we're talking about human rights, those were the very things that, you have to forgive me for mentioning the unmentionable, Lenin fought for. So I know I sound ideological, but it's not. Every one of these 17 sustainable goals were the basis for the whole Soviet state. And I feel half the time like Alice in Wonderland. I'm going crazy because I grew up in a country where, as a woman, it was socially unacceptable for me to want to work, and I didn't come from a very poor background. And men, my mother, who said, I received a letter from a man at Yale University. When I finally succumbed to pressure and gave up all thought of working, and he wrote me a letter, which thank God my mother kept, saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you've given up all plans for a career. Now you're finally feminine." Betty Friedan finally wrote the book, The Feminine Mystique. And books were subsequently written. But capitalism is based on patriarchy. Patriarchy is based upon the subjugation of women. So all I can say is that I came here because it was my hope and expectation, and I'm very glad to have found a group that will fight for these things, but it's somehow, I would say, genetically more natural for you than it would be for another group who will talk about it but has no experience of it. So, I just don't know what to say, because the United Nations is not going to achieve its sustainable development goals. It will not, and Secretary General Guterres has acknowledged this. Because globally, neoliberalism is being imposed upon. So, what can be done to end the demonization of socialism? In my country, Bernie Sanders, this pathetic little, slightly progressive man who wants some decent lives for people. I speak to Democrats who say, "Oh no, he's too far to the left. We wouldn't dare nominate him." So we're going to end up with, it's almost classic. I read all 3 volumes of Das Kapital, secretly, of course. I had brown paper wrappers over it, told everybody they were books about sex. But this is pathetic. The 17, what you're doing is admirable. But the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are cosmetic. Without economic global transformation economically, there's no chance for women. I mean, the homelessness in this country. I mean, I walk on 42nd Street, the number of people sleeping in the gutter. And to hear one of my colleagues in the press say, oh, they're just lazy, they don't want jobs. I said, would you like a job cleaning somebody's toilet? You're a photographer, you deal with heads of state. I mean, the lack of empathy, the lack of respect, the lack of, I would say, basic decency toward, it is increasing here, that's all I can say. They say that Eleanor Roosevelt always took public transportation. And I think that's how she was able to come up with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because I do take public transportation. The number of beggars, very often there's no place to sit because there are people sleeping on the subways. And this is the capitalist dream that Donald Trump is offering North Korea. I was, but incidentally, in North Korea, in Pyongyang, so I can compare the two, but I won't go too far. I'll try not to go too far. All I'm saying is, what you are now trying to build from the bottom up, you already have. And you gave it up, and I was there at the time, and I said, don't give it up. But of course, for money. So I thank you for this. But how can you possibly make a reality of all of these noble goals when this contradicts neoliberalism? You have 8 people who control more wealth than the majority of people on the planet? I mean, what's going on? And how long are people going to tolerate this? That's what I wonder. And will people wake up before it becomes very violent, as it did in France and elsewhere? I didn't plan to make a statement, but since I feel I'm with people who can understand what I'm talking about, how do you get through this barrier?
You know, if you permit me to answer you, of course I can't unfortunately answer to all of your moments because we have no time, but I'm really struck by your speech because for the first time I hear the thoughts which I have myself. But maybe not every day I'm speaking about this loudly. But once I asked one very important person, he's already about 70 and more, I asked him, why should I go in there, speaking, defend somebody, speaking about women and mentally handicapped, etc., etc. Who needs that? And you know what he answered me? You know, I even a little bit joke at him, at his pathos. And you know, God created humanity to be, to exist forever. And there are always people everywhere in the planet, in America, in Russia, in Uganda, everywhere, who really, how to say, who really tries to preserve this humanity. It was a little bit pathetic, but I understood that meaning. And then I thought, maybe it is so. Of course, we are speaking about 17 goals. I understand you and I agree with you. But if we, me, her, you, we shall do something on our spot, just defending somebody, struggling for better life. It's already too much. Let them be 17 goals, okay. But still we are trying to do something for making better. I think that's already too much. And even enough for us, for our lives. I don't know whether I answered your question, but I feel like this. Может быть, кто-то еще хочет сказать?
Да, конечно. Конечно, хотят.
Ну, речь шла о том, что вот так вкратце, если вот перевести, просто вот эти 17, значит, цели там, и так далее. Это все хорошо, но их можно выполнить основу экономические и так далее. Ну вот я и на что просто ответила, правильно, вот неправильно, но своими мыслями, то, что один человек, такой очень пафосный, такой взрослый там в России, я его спросила, вот что я вот это мотаюсь, туда-сюда, там, что-то там борюсь за права, там, умственно отсталых или людей с инвалидностью, кому это все нужно? И он мне сказал, что вообще Бог создал человечество для того, чтобы оно, ну, как бы, существовало всегда, вечно. И всегда находятся люди на планете в разных совершенно точках, в разных странах, которые вот поддерживают это. Одни борются там за женский вопрос, решение женских вопросов, другие там за людей старшего возраста. То есть всегда есть люди, которые вот все равно вот эту миссию несут, и поэтому все вот будет как бы, ну, не будет разрушена до конца вот эта вся наша жизнь. Вообще очень американская.
Thank you for your note. It was really very interesting. So.
Can I add something
Yeah.
a little? In my presentation, it was a slide with a quote of Leo Tolstoy. It's about everyone thinks to change the world, but nobody thinks to change himself. So, I decided that I can't change the world, but I can do something in my life. And because of a lot of social networks, because of a lot of computers, internet, and all this stuff, I know that me and my life can be like an example of trying to do something good. And every day I have a lot of messages from different women, Russian language women, from United States, from France. I have a lot of friends, and I have a lot of just people who watching me. And they write me like, oh my God, Anna, I didn't thought that it's possible, like to have kids, to have husband, and doing something for women, making some social work. And in these moments I understand that this is, how to say in English, это имеет смысл.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. And when I understood that I can go to United Nations to talk about women, about entrepreneurship, you even can't imagine how many women write me in social networks. Like, oh my God, it's possible? You're from small town somewhere in Russia. Nobody in the United States even doesn't know the name of the city. And you're here. So I think Leo is right. We can do something with our lives, and it can be a good example for others.
I know what you're saying, but within a very, very restrictive environment, it's almost impossible to do something with your life. Because I remember having to fight against the prejudice against women with careers, women working. And I do remember, the only model I could think of was Madame Curie, of course, who had a very difficult time of it. But all I can say is all of these very well-educated women, mostly, at this publishing house, we had to correct broken letters, and that manuscript of Alexandra Kollontai circulated at least 20 times. There was nothing wrong with the letters, but everybody just admired her because... And this was the turn of the century. This was 1917. And she was so way beyond where we are. They talk about, freedom. Also, by the way, I have to say, talking about freedom, I feel very, very threatened speaking openly this way, and I do it only because I know your background. But it's very dangerous in this country to speak the way I am speaking. And they talk about freedom as a joke, because I grew up after the McCarthy period, and I know people were terrified of being labeled even pink, let alone red. And so you can be LGBT and talk about your sexual orientation, and that's now as public and as acceptable. But to call yourself a socialist or even mention Lenin, oh, that's it. You know. And so half the time I think I'm going crazy. I actually just went out and bought Gogol's The Diary of a Madman. But it's sometimes very intolerable to be at the Security Council and hear the United States lecture other countries about human rights and know the number of countries we've destroyed who were trying to give their people human rights. I was in Vietnam. I also worked in Chile during the Pinochet dictatorship, where we had overthrown a progressive government that was giving food to the starving and put in a fascist government. So, the hypocrisy, I've always found that to be the most intolerable. And I do think it is a very great tragedy that the Soviet Union fell apart. In that sense, I think Putin is absolutely correct, saying it's one of the greatest tragedies. Interestingly, I was in Moscow when Queen Elizabeth II met Boris Yeltsin. And she had a lady in waiting. I spoke with Queen, who was married to an Orthodox Jewish rabbi in England, who said, this collapse of the Soviet Union is going to be a global catastrophe, and it will be like tidal waves that increase and get worse. And look at the world today. I mean, the religious insanity that's taken over. Yes, the Soviet Union was an atheist state, and it balanced what was perhaps religious. And because Soviet Union, Roosevelt created the New Deal, because he didn't want a revolution here. He also might have been a decent person as well. Now that there's no Soviet Union to compete against, they're totally dismantling the New Deal. If you read Trump's plan for his next presidency, it's a complete destruction of the social safety net without basic economic security. What dignity is there? What opportunity is there if you have to scramble just to get enough food? So, and then of course, as I mentioned, Putin has made Russia stronger. And so he's hated, by the way. To this, so yes, I know.
I'm so sorry. So I'm sorry. It's a really interesting talk, and for the first time when we communicate with each other. And the more we meet, the more we speak, the more we understand. And then I would like to stress the idea again that everybody must start from here herself, to educate herself, to teach herself. Otherwise, only speaking and speaking about bad and good things is nothing. You must start from yourself, and it's very good that we meet, that we speak. We Russians, we Americans, and people from Uzbekistan, we speak together. It's the best thing, and I think it's the best result of such events in the United Nations. And thus we are speaking about those goals, maybe not real as you said, but we, by our conversation, we really try to fulfill those goals. When we shall do it, nobody knows, but we try. It's already not so little. So thank you very much to raise such a question, and we are very happy that our meeting just became a meeting of real friends, I hope. Thank you very much for everybody. So we hope last year maybe we shall be together.